Sloane Stephens in that final back in 2017. It's always a bit of a challenge. Key is how well can you come out and start.
15-0.
And Lee has, I'd say, a little more variety than in her game. Doesn't have a huge weapon, but she has the ability to play in the midcourt area, to take balls very comfortably at the net. She's going to have to use her whole game here.
Oh.
I guess really rely on a good first serve percentage, because she wouldn't want to be letting Madison Keys have a look on those second serves. That's where she is so aggressive and has that firepower. So a little bit of pressure now for Lee.
Oh. Game.
And an early break there for Madison Keys. 1-love.
And this is exactly what Keys would have been looking for, electing to receive. Some opportunities to get into returns, to be aggressive, and very quickly making that decision. Perhaps the intent of a body serve, but Lee not quite hitting her target. And Keys looking very good right out of the gate.
Well, there's the win predictor. 77% in favor of Madison Keys. 23% for Ann Lee.
Madison Keys to serve.
We know the firepower that Keys has at her disposal, and it's easy power. And she has gotten actually more margin, I think, in her game, which is scary.
Is there any particular way that you would see Ann Lee winning a few extra points, like playing through the middle like that one? Or,
you know, I think that's a good play. I think, you know, Keys moves deceptively well. And so you've got to be a little more strategic about opening up the court against her. But sometimes not giving Keys as much of an angle, forcing her to create all of the angle off of her racket. That might generate a few misses, a few opportunities for Lee.
Big first serve down the tee. Such a weapon, isn't it, that serve? 182 k's per hour.
And that may be a shot for Lee that can pay a few more dividends. She went to the slice in the middle of that rally just to change the pace, and then went back with the top spin. And it's Lee now with the breakpoint opportunity.
Let's for service. Deuce.
Not easy for anyone to handle the pace of Keys when she's on the front foot. That would be the challenge for Lee over the course of this match. Can she get Keys just a little more off balance more often?
Advantage, Keys.
Good heavy ball there from Madison Keys. Giving herself an opportunity to take a 2-love lead in this first set.
Game,
And
please.
she consolidates the break, Madison Keys. Well, it's a quick start, 2-love, first set.
Keys leads by 2. Game is
And just
11.
what, reiterating what Jannik said, the variety that Madison is starting to bring to her game. I saw it in that particular game. She's able now to use that heavier forehand and all of a sudden strike through the next one. That change of rhythm, I think, is so useful for her. It's a tough game to get through, but well done.
It's a must-win game here for Ann Lee, just to settle some nerves and get on the board.
Fifteen 11.
Good start. With the first serve, we'll be needing a few more of those today.
Third 11. Forty 11.
Another good first serve there from Ann Lee.
Game,
And
lead.
she's on the board, Ann Lee, but it's Keys still with a break, 2-1.
Keys leads by 2. Game is to 1.
Big difference when Ann Lee can get that first serve in. That was 4 first serves in that last service game. Just puts that little bit of extra pressure on Madison Keys.
Yeah, makes for a very quick hold and a tough start to drop your serve. Opening game against a big server makes it an uphill battle, but Van Lee can continue just to settle in the way she has done. She may create some opportunities to break, and a big part of it, you know, against a higher ranked player is the belief. And we heard Madison's coach and husband talk about she and Ann Lee practicing together at times and knowing each other, you know, pretty well. Maybe that helps Lee as the lower ranked.
And she's serving here at 2-1.
I have just
15-11.
noticed the court position of Emily's return, and it's a little bit further back, and that's because just seeing down here courtside the kick, the way the ball bounces so high off the balance off of key serve, so it's a good place to be because right now she's getting a lot of returns back in play.
Yeah, that was a case in point, exactly what you were talking about, Jill. That serve kicking up, getting a little bit above the shoulders for Lee, but she didn't let it create the miss and was able to get the point started, settled in very nicely. And she's looking a lot more comfortable now.
Oh, unbelievable depth there of Fountain's
30
forehand.
15.
And there are some shots that Keys can hit, winners that you just have to say too good, not hold on to it, move on to the next point. is terrific ball striking, and it's one of the things that Keys does when she's playing her best, and the ability to go down the line with the backhand. We know how big she can hit it on the forehand, but when she can take opponents by surprise, changing direction off that side, there's not a lot of spaces you can go into.
Game, Keys.
A good hold there for Madison Keys. She's off to a flying start.
Keys leads by 3, game is to 1.
We talked a bit this past season about some of the changes that Keys made at the suggestion of her coach, her then fiance, in terms of her racket. And it's very unusual for a player at this level to make significant changes in that sense. But she was willing to do it, and it has paid some dividends.
So you think she's getting more power off the Onyx?
It was more control,
right.
And she went to a wider string pattern to allow her to get more spin on her shots.
Net for service.
Also changed her string, went from gut to poly, which as a big hitter, gut flies off the racket. So. And the premise being that Keys had plenty of power. It was more about the control, and I think that has paid off.
15-11.
Yeah, I remember her saying that it allowed her to feel like she could swing more freely, which is a scary thought.
Yeah.
And then now we see Keys maybe tinkering a little bit more because she's been testing a new racket, a new brand there. We'll see where she ends up with it, but clearly open to positive changes.
A couple of missed returns there from Madison Keys and giving Ann Lee a number of opportunities to hold.
Oh. 40-15.
Beautiful there from Madison Keys. Just strikes that ball so nicely, but with plenty of margin.
40-13.
How do you absorb that pace, Jana? Because it's just coming in so hard and fast.
I think you try to prevent her from creating it in the first place. It's difficult to defend shot after shot these kinds of balls from Keys.
Game.
Oh, good serve and a good hold there for Ann Lee. Still Keys in the lead, 3-2.
Keys leads by 3, game is to 2.
Jill, in your perspective, how's the court tracking in terms of speed? Do you think it's in anybody's favour this afternoon?
To be honest, I think when you're watching Keys, every court seems fast.
Yeah.
That's how hard she's hitting the ball, and she has such good length on her shot, so it's really difficult to tell. I think these courts are a bit medium. The players feel like, across the board, I feel like they think they've been playing a little bit faster, but compared to Adelaide, where Madison just won that title, I think they're playing a little bit slower. And I was just on 1573 this morning, and that felt a little bit slower than some of the other courts. But overall, I think medium fast. And I also feel like it's kicking up, especially on Keys' serve. That's where I feel like she can really cause some damage. So I do think it probably favors Keys, especially if she can hit through the court a bit.
It's big arena, John Cain Arena, and they're here to see first round women's singles between Madison Keys, the 19th seed, and Ann Lee from the USA. We've had one early break of serve. And it will be Madison Keys serving now at 3-2.
(15-11).
Keys does a good job of mixing her serve up. Of course, her quickest serve is the one down the tee, and I think especially to the forehand side, that's a go-to serve. And against Lee, that is probably what she's going to continue to look for.
Oh. Oh. 30-15.
Got to mix it up just enough to keep your opponent guessing. But for Keys, when games get tight, see how often she goes to her quickest shot.
Good use of variety. You touched on that earlier, Chandler. That's what Ann Lee does really well.
30
She
all.
can throw in the slice, and we saw her throwing that drop shot as well. Keeps that ball low.
And that's the pattern that Keys can employ. Out wide to create open space to the backhand. Most times that serve is going to come back up the middle, and that gives Keys more options on the forehand side.
Too good for Madison Keys. Two big first serves, two winners. She's in the lead, 4-2.
Keys leads by 4 games to 2.
A beautiful shot there of the forehand of Madison Keys, and just the way that that body weight moves forward. How much rotation she gets on that ball. Beautiful. Not afraid to move forward. Recognising Keys was on the stretch, resorted to that slice forehand, so she took the time away from Keys.
Oh. 40-11.
Vision there of just the extension and the leg drive Ann Lee gets. She's really zoned in on her first serve.
Yeah, she's been holding her own. That is the key ever since getting broken the first game of the match. Key against a server like Keys is to hold your own serve, keep some tension in terms of the score line, and then look for opportunities. Oh, it's just too good. The redirect from Keys.
40,
read
30.
that serve beautifully.
That's tough when you're playing against someone like Madison Keys. You think you've hit the best first serve and it just comes back even better. So we have to say too good.
Game, lead. New balls, please.
So Keys with the break, 4-3
Keys
first
leads
set.
by 4 games to 3.
Well, she doesn't seem overwhelmed by the moment, Anne Lee, maybe because she's so familiar with Madison Keys and they're good friends and practice a lot together. Do you think that certainly helped?
I think it has, and I think after losing her serve to start the match, Lee, she just had to settle in, and you almost think, okay, I'm already down, let's just play now, versus the tension that comes before the first ball and having to serve first on top of it. So I think there's a combination of reasons, but Lee has settled in beautifully, and this is the type of tennis she needs to be playing really from start to finish, win or lose. And
So 21 minutes of play, and it's Madison Keys to serve here at 4-3.
Oh. Oh. 15-11.
that's a return. If you are Ann Lee, you just can't afford to miss. A second serve, first point of the game. You're trying to apply some pressure. Got to put that ball back on the racket of Keys.
Yeah, she knew it too. She was shaking her head too.
And these points and the decision making, it happens so quickly. Oftentimes afterwards, you're self-correcting, you're figuring out how to adjust for the next point, and that's what it's all about. You're not going to do everything perfectly out there. How quickly can you make adjustments?
Right back at you, Ann Lee.
15.
I was just going to go back to that court position. She's been standing a bit further back and getting a lot of balls in play, but I like that she mixed it up there. Sometimes take it early. You got to keep your opponent guessing on the serve as well. It was a really good job.
Oh.
Chandler, would you say that this is the particular area of Madison Keys that sometimes can affect her? Just some of those loose, unforced errors?
Yeah, I think that one, obviously more margin. You just want to give yourself more space, but she's trying to figure out, I mean, Ann Lee's keeping her off balance just enough.
30-14.
And I just saw Madison just reminding herself to constantly just keep getting up to the ball. That's where she was frustrated with that previous error.
A good way to save 2 break points from Madison Keys.
I mean, sometimes there's this balance between hitting big and still being patient. And against a player like Lee, who can mix it up, who can throw in the slice, who can neutralize a little bit, you can't rush yourself through some of these shots. I think also the challenge is to keep the legs moving where you don't get stagnant and just try to use all arm, try to overplay. It's a full body sort of getting behind the ball, and that can be a tough balance to kind of find. But so far, Keys is doing a good job.
She fights off 2 break points, Madison Keys, and it takes a 5-3 lead now.
Keys leads by 5 games to 3.
So far, that pattern from Keys of going into the forehand of Lee, that has paid real dividends at the end of both of her last service games. Previous one, she went there from 30 all. And then there again.
So the pressure now on Ann Lee to keep herself inside this first set.
Oh. 15-11.
Oh.
Some of these service games for Ann Lee, the returns for Keys, it's just too quick off of her racket. That's another one where she just didn't give herself enough space. And then Lee does a good job there. It's a lot easier if you're playing from ahead
40-11
in your service games.
And she looks very comfortable moving forward as well. We've seen her come to the net a number of times and very successful.
(40-15).
We'll play there from Ann Lee. It's Keys still with the break, 5-4.
Keys leads by 5 games to 4.
Ann Lee did a great job there of just putting the pressure back onto Madison Keys now to have to serve out this first set. Ever since that first break in that first game, she's done so well to hold her serve comfortably. Lots of first serves in and really begging the question from Madison Keys.
And it's been, I think, a level of clarity that Ann Lee has. She knows how she needs to play, and the question is about execution. She's not second-guessing herself, and that is a key component to playing, I think, her best tennis. Doubts can creep in, and she can start to second-guess her shot selection, Ann Lee. But in this case, she is playing the type of tennis that will certainly take her back up to the heights that she has already reached it and beyond.
Time.
A beautiful day here at Melbourne Park, and just some shots of the precinct and all that is on offer for spectators. There's so much to see and do, and just a wonderful day. 28 degrees, it's sunny, perfect playing conditions.
(15-11). (30-11).
American fans in the stands.
40-11.
That's exactly how Madison Keys wanted to start this game. Big serves and now 3 set point opportunities.
Oh.
Game and first set.
And she does it comfortably, Madison Keys. The 19th seed takes the first set in 31 minutes, 6 games to 4.
15-11.
Just gives you a sense, though, for how quick the tempo is, and it's forcing Lee to maybe have to play a little quicker than she's used to, but she has that ability. She can play this kind of tennis against the field. See where her ranking can continue to go.
Well, Ann Lee served to open the first set and got broken straight away. So let's see if she can maybe change things up a little. And it really is a must-hold game for her to establish herself in the second set.
Every game is not the same, and you know, we try to approach it that way as a player, not think any one game is bigger than the other, but there are certain moments where it's just a little more important to maintain the focus, to have the clarity on where you want to go.
First service.
What reply you're trying to get, especially behind the serve, and it's at the beginning of sets, and especially here for Ann Lee.
I feel like Ann, she's such a good mover, and she's actually covering the court exceptionally well. She's ready for that big return out of the gates. And what she's doing well is anytime she's getting a forehand, she's cutting into the court fast and pressuring the Keys movement. And that's where she's been able to get an advantage in some of these points.
With the second serve there, and Keys was ready for it, pouncing on it.
It's not an easy shot to make, is it? The inside-out backhand. So in order for Madison Keys to play that shot, it has to be executed well, and now gives herself a breakpoint opportunity. And she only needs one of them. So again, Madison Keys with the early break here. One love, second set.
And as well as we are seeing Ann Lee play at times, it's just been a couple of moments now. And that may cost her here in the second as well. You look at Ann Lee and her average return hit points in set one. And she was a little closer in on the first serve compared to Keys, who is coming well inside the baseline on second serves in that first set. And that allowed Keys in a couple of return games to pressure Lee and get that one break of serve. That's why we saw Lee struggle behind the second serve. It's going to be important here in the second set as well.
Love 15.
And so often I think with a big server, yes, the big serve can get free points, you can get occasional aces, but your first serve for anybody really is only as good as your second. How reliable is that shot, which allows you to go for your first serve a bit more. That is beautifully played, showcasing her skill at the net.
Well, she anticipated that drop shot exceptionally well, didn't she, Ann Lee? And we see that a lot with players these days, the sliding to the shot. Chanda, were you a slider?
I was not. That was after my time, the sliding. Felt like I might break my ankle if I tried that.
I think Jill said something similar the other day too.
There's no chance I was sliding. Unbelievable what they're capable of.
Well, we've been told, Jill, that the shoes are a little bit different as well. The soles allow them to slide. I don't know if I'm buying that.
I think a lot of them slide with probably like 10 extra layers. Otherwise, they're going to wear down in like 2 games.
So Ann Lee now with 3 breakback point opportunities.
Oh.
And a good break there from Ann Lee, her first break for the match.
1 game on.
Yeah, I didn't have a look at the break opportunities in that first set, and all of a sudden in the second, had a lot of breathing room, multiple chances if she needed them. But the key similarity for Ann Lee when she has raised her level here is that she isn't hesitating. She's attacking the ball. Got a little tentative in the first service game of this set. Can she adjust that as well?
Oh.
It's just too much to handle.
Love 15.
Keys testing the Lee forehand and showing her who's boss.
One of my favorite shots from Madison Keys is that high, heavy forehand that she's capable of. But I think she just gets stubborn sometimes and likes to hit that flat one where I think her average volleyball could have a little bit more rotation.
That's a good serving here from Ann Lee. Certainly does help her win a few more free points.
Well, she's got a sneaky good first serve, Lee.
Yeah.
It can bite down into the court. She's hitting her target. Sometimes the return gets back on her quicker than she can come out of the serve. But at her best, that serve can cause some problems, give her something a little more inside the court on the second ball.
A nice change up there with the slice out wide, giving her an opportunity to take a lead here in the second set. Good hold there for Ann Lee. 2-1, second set.
Lee leads by 2, game is to 1.
I think these types of matches are important for a player in Ann Lee's position, just getting herself back inside the world's top 100, now around 80-something in the world. But as she continues to move back up the ranks, just understanding the level that she can play at and that she needs to play at consistently. Sometimes you kind of play to your opponent, or you play to the level you're at instead of the level you should be at. And that's a key distinction, and you don't see it until you play against a better player who's hitting the ball bigger, who's playing faster. You realize, I can do it, I just got to push myself, be aware of it more often.
Well, in 2024, she played a mixture of ITF events and WTA events. So, as you touched on, Chanda, it is really getting used to playing at a higher level and gaining that confidence as well. So if you're just joining us here on Cain Arena, it is women's singles first round action between Madison Keys, the 19th seed, and Ann Lee, and it's been an entertaining match. Madison Keys taking the first set 6-4, and we're on serve here in the second.
15-11.
Yeah, Lee able to break Keys for the first time and get back on serve in this second set.
Oh.
That's the challenge. Saw Lee fighting to get that ball from above her shoulders and trying to get some depth, get some push behind it. But Keys with one of the better kick serves in the women's game. And on these courts, it hops up even more.
Oh. $40-11.
He's
$40-15.
Yeah, Lee overall not afraid of the pace at all. The harder the serve that comes at her, that better she handles it. She likes that ball right into her racket. Is the kick one that she's struggling with a bit more.
See how far back Madison Keys is standing, especially with that last backhand. Really getting pushed back into the court. It's her husband and coach, Bjorn Frantangelo.
a terrific player in his own right. Understands these moments and how to convey it to Keys as well. That's important in a relationship.
Game, Keys.
Keys levels things here in the second set, 2-all.
2 games over.
We see so often, coaches added or coaching changes that players make during the course of the season. And sometimes it's just the way that a coach can put something to you as a player, the way they can explain it, that gets you to buy in, that gets you to understand what they are asking. And that has seemed to be the case with Keys. It's been a very successful partnership since before they got married. That's been one of the differences so far. Keys' ability to take the ball early and drive through it. Pressure that Lee feels every time she goes to a second serve.
But also her ability to change direction off that backhand return. We've seen Keys use that inside-out backhand return, but then also showing her ability to serve, return that backhand down the line. So keeping Lee on her toes.
30-15.
That's been the big difference where Lee has struggled to win points behind her second serve, and that has made it imperative that she keep the first serve percentage up.
40-15.
See, there's not a lot of rallies in this match. The point really is determined within the first 4 shots. The longest rally of this match has been only 9 shots.
A terrific rally, and it's Keys who has the last word.
Yeah, just unbelievable ball striking down here. Not much height over the net from either one, and that's why I feel like Ann Lee's actually played a very high-quality match despite getting broken right away and losing that first set. You don't get much rhythm because the points are so short, but she's been able to handle this pace and stay up there with Keys.
You can see her thinking out there, Lee.
Advantage, Lee.
Putting things into the computer, making adjustments, that wide serve. Less about pace, more about placement to create this open space.
Game, Lee.
Good hold there for Ann Lee. Maintains the lead here in the second set. 3-2.
Game is a 2.
Well, as I mentioned that the rallies weren't very long, the players then went on to play a 13-shot rally, the longest rally of the match. So it's commentator's curse, Chanda.
I mean, we can't win up here.
Never.
We just got to watch what's happening and
call it as we see it, yeah.
Exactly. But, you know, it's been a good quality match, even though we may not have the longest rallies. I certainly didn't expect it with how aggressive-minded both of these players really can be. Keys with the pace and her positioning in the court, and Lee with her positioning and her abilities at the net. This has been kind of what we expected. But I think Lee has settled down once again in the second set after getting the break of serve. I think that helps you relax a bit more on your own serve, knowing that you've got a little space to breathe if you do happen to get broken.
Beautiful day here at Melbourne Park, and this is where we are at Cain Arena for this women's singles first round clash. On serve here with Madison Keys to serve, 2-3.
Oh. 15-11. I
think that has been the best play for Keys on serve. The serve going to Lee's forehand. It's matching power for power.
30-15.
Would you say that would be court positioning or just the execution of the shot in that last forehand?
Yeah, I think, you know, not having an angle again. Lee just doing a good job getting this return back, putting it deep.
That's where Madison Keys loves to be, inside the court, dictating play.
Brianna, you brought up the court position, and there's just been a couple times I've noticed that after the serve, Madison expecting maybe a little bit of a weaker play, and just moments where she's been pushed off her back foot, falling backwards. That's where some of the errors come in.
Game, Keys. New balls, please. 3 games on.
So we're tied here in the second set, 3-all. And now we've got new balls, so that will certainly, you would think, help Ann Lee. She's been serving exceptionally well throughout this whole match.
So little space, though, for Lee in terms of errors and mistakes, and I think that's where we're seeing the tremendous focus she's bringing to her first serve. She's gotten hurt when she's had to throw those second serves in. So it's the type of match you can never fully relax, but it's almost better because you know you're consistently going to get this from your opponent, and you've got to contend with it. There's no uncertainties in that sense. So I think it has pushed Lee to play at a higher level. And this is some of the best serving that she has done, certainly first couple of weeks of the year. She had it lined up. It was the perfect play.
Again, set up by that first serve.
Game, Lee.
Comfortable hold there for Lee.
Lee leads by
Second
4
set.
games to 3.
She's certainly showing she's more than capable of playing at the highest level. Anne Lee has been as high as 44 in the world, and that was back in 2022. So you think if she can maintain this level throughout the year, there is no doubt she can get back inside that top 50.
Yeah, her first couple of weeks of the year, she had to play Sloane Stephens the first round of both events in Auckland and Hobart. Of course, in Hobart, she had come through qualifying, so had a couple of wins under her belt there. And so that adds to the confidence, to the belief that you can get through those kinds of matches. And then this sort of the next step, the next level for Anne Lee. She's had a couple of top 20 wins in her career. This would be a big one if she can give herself a shot.
So it's been a tough clash here between Madison Keys and Anne Lee. The pressure now on Madison Keys to have to hold here in this second set, serving at 3-4.
Oh. 15-11. Oh.
There's nothing about these first round matches that are simple or easy, regardless of the opponent. But this match in particular is forcing Keys to play a little more disciplined as well.
Nice forehand, painting the line. Almost skidding off and finding it really tough for Lee to get back.
Game, Keys.
So we're leveled here in the second set, 4-all.
It's been interesting to watch the demeanor and the emotions of both of these players. Anne Lee, the type that doesn't ever give anything away. And a couple times, Madison's not doing much, but you can just see just small signs of frustration. And most of it has been on the return, how she hasn't been able to read Anne Lee's return, see if she tries to make any adjustments in this game.
Yeah, you think about this match, and there have been very few break opportunities, relatively speaking. I mean, Madison Keys has been perfect, 2 for 2, but she's used to generating more break opportunities than that, especially with how aggressively she can return. But it's a testament to how well Lee has served, how well she's mixed it up. Hasn't allowed Keys to read it as often.
Beautiful play there from Anne Lee. Again, using that first serve to set herself up on that forehand. Just getting in such great court position and adjusting with those little steps around the ball.
Game, lead.
And she holds to love, Ann Lee. Pressure back on Keys now. 5-4 lead.
Leads by 5 games to 4.
Well, she couldn't have played a better game. Service game, Ann Lee. That was impressive.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you look at this match and you look at some of the service games, and you would maybe say Ann Lee's serving better than Madison Keys, except for the couple of breaks that came against her serve where she did not play a great game. And so it's been kind of a big swing. But for that, though, Ann Lee has held her own, and that's part of the frustration for Keys, who, with a big serve of her own, is maybe not used to being relatively ineffective in some of these moments. But it's up to Keys to just continue focusing on her serve and, if necessary, get this to a tiebreak. Looks like that's maybe where we're headed.
Time.
So a bit of pressure here for Madison Keys, serving to level things here in this second set.
Oh. 15-11. Oh. 30-11.
Some great retrieving there from Ann Lee just to get herself back into the point.
30-15.
Overall for this match, Lee has done a very good job of keeping her gravity, center of gravity, very low and her legs very low. That's why she's handling the pace of the Keys ground stroke so well.
And she's been waiting, Lee, for just a little drop off in the Keys game, and maybe she's getting it here. You can't miss that forehand return. She was maybe expecting it a little harder. Actually had a little time on it.
Yeah, she's done so well with her returns too.
Game. Keys.
2 forehand missed returns from Ann Lee. Gives Madison Keys the game, and we're tied here, 5-all.
Yeah, and what a release of pressure for Keys to, at 30-all, serve and not even have to play the second ball. That is a no-no, and it's got to be frustrating for Ann Lee here. She's got to regroup.
You can almost sense her body language really being deflated after those last 2 missed returns.
Oh. I love 15.
She knows when to step up, doesn't she, Madison Keys?
It's a terrific play. Hard with the return, down the middle with depth. Cuts down the risk off the Keys racket and still applies tremendous pressure to the server.
(15-13).
Keys getting the point started. I mean, she's opting now to chip quite a few of these first serve returns back in play just to allow herself to get the return in the court. Still hitting some of these too flat on the forehand. That was better.
Yeah, then she comes up with that return.
30-14.
So for the first time in a long time, Madison Keys with a break point. And she's got the break, Madison Keys. And she will come out and serve for the match. 6-5.
Keys leads by 6 games to 5.
That was impressive.
Yeah, it was touched on a number of times in terms of the level that Ann Lee has had to play this afternoon. And you can't buy that type of experience at 6-4, 5-all. I mean, just goes to show Madison Keys is using her experience, knows when to step it up.
Yeah, and she's coming off of some terrific wins. We mentioned she won the Adelaide tournament, a 500 event. That was an incredibly tough draw, and to get that title, the lowest ranked player that Keys beat was 26 in the world. I mean, she had to come through against multiple top 20 players, including a couple of top tenors. That's the type of confidence that Keys is playing with, and she's had to bring it against a game opponent in Ann Lee, but here Keys is with this match on her racket.
So Madison Keys, the 19th seed, had a crucial break of serve at 5 games all in this second set, and now he's serving for a place in the second round of this women's singles draw.
(15-11).
A perfect start. Big serving, short points. Only 2 points away now from the match.
(30-15).
And with that ace, it gives Madison Keys 2 match points.
Game, set, match, Keys.
And she wins it with another ace. Madison Keys
6-4, 7-5.
through to the second round here at the Australian Open.
In the second round of the Australian Open.
1 hour and 9 minutes, 6-4, 7-5. A great performance for her.
This match was a tough one, and the time on court